Hi, everyone. It's me again. How are you? I always feel like when I say that right now, there's a lot to unpack. So I'm going to just let people slowly come on before we talk about this. So let's see who's coming on. Whoever is on, I want to say hi. We're going to be talking about being our authentic self right now because we're tired, and we are tired of the crap, tired of trying to mold ourselves to be we're okay, and I really want us to make sure that we are not making ourselves small to make other people comfortable. So hey B, hey Omarine, how are you? I have our top 10 things for mastering difficult conversations because I'm really hoping that everyone in this space is going to be able to be the person that they want to be. And sometimes that's going to require having some difficult conversations. And a lot of times that's what keeps us small and keeps us afraid and keeps us from being our authentic self. So, Shannon, hi. Shannon, don't forget, I put you on to the tag for the mentorship in case I know you're one of our residents, so in case you need mentorship, so I put you on there. So make sure you're doing that. So, hi everyone. First, I wanted to just check in. So, for those of you who are watching, give me a note about like where you're at right now. Thursday was my breakdown. Okay, that was when I couldn't eat, sleep, or do anything. Today, I would say I'm motivated. What's a word for each of you? Just pop that in the chat for me. What I want us to do today is I'm going to go through these like 10 things that have been really helpful. You know, I've chosen to be very high, Tiffany. I've chosen to be extremely authentic. If any, like all of the women in the program that I run, they know that I will say something called acting with integrity. And basically, what it means is that I should not be draining myself by not doing things that are authentically like aligned with who I am. And that means not saying what needs to be said, not doing what needs to be done, in that space, not talking to that person and making sure that they're in their place if they're really trying to just push, me or push something onto me. So Tiffany, awesome. So I'm going to get started. A few housekeeping things. Just wanted to let you know so people should know about the mentorship rooms. If you are cool about being a mentor, sign up for that. If you are interested in being a mentee, sign up for that. Okay, yay, somebody likes that. Awesome. And then the other big thing, hey Alicia, the other big thing I wanted to mention is tomorrow I am releasing my podcast episode like every Wednesday, but I literally recorded it this morning and it was supposed to be something totally different. It was going to be a guest interview and it really is reflecting on well, I'll tell you the topic since you are in the elite like Facebook group club, but the topic is turning our unimaginable pain into extraordinary power. So please check that out because I literally spoke from the heart. I tried to put some actionable steps that will help us through this time. So I want you to please make sure you check that out. That's tomorrow. Okay, let's get started. All right, so today we're going to talk about difficult conversations. We're going to talk about the 10 things so that literally you will not be scared of having any conversation with anyone who you encounter because you have mastered these 10 things, okay? Yes, I know that's a big thing to say and to promise, but trust me, you'll love it. The thing also that we're going to do is that I'm going to break this down into two-part series. So there's 20 things actually, but we'll do top 10 today. And then next Tuesday on Teaching Tuesdays, we'll do 11 to 20. Okay. And I want you to let me know if any of these are things that you're doing, if any of them are things that are like, oh yeah, that's a cool thing that I should remember to do. Just let me know because I need feedback. It's hard to just talk to yourself in the phone. Hi, Tanya. How are you? All right. So Number one, when we're thinking, and let me also phrase that the reason why I decided to do this as well is to make sure that we don't shrink from the opportunity to actually make massive change in our institutions, to really make people step up to the plate. And a lot of times we're just kind of like, this place is never going to change. That's one of the issues around how do you master these difficult conversations. But it's going to be really important for us to make sure that we are in this time period when people are going to show themselves, that we're able to step up and say, look, I'm not afraid of what you're trying to tell me or what hole you want to put me in. I actually know how to handle that. All right. So number one, first and foremost, I think that is really important is meditate. Okay, and meditate. And so what I mean by that is number one is being able to know that the initial response when you are in a stressful situation is that you're going to tense up. You're going to start like breathing from here. You're going to start getting into that like flight or fright mode, even when it's the idea of a potential conversation that is not one that you potentially want to have. And so the first thing is always around breathing and getting yourself like down, bringing yourself down, bringing yourself and getting yourself calm. Some people, I know Maisha does hypnosis as well, but like really the first thing that you can do is do some belly breaths before you go into that conversation. That's number one. And it's extremely important to do that to get yourself like down from off of the ledge so you're able to have a conversation that is not uber emotional or, just out of left field with a lot of anger, because we know how we have to be able to show up powerful, right? In those conversations. So that's the first thing. So let me know if you do that. If you like before you're gonna have a difficult conversation, do you breathe? Do you like meditate? Let me know in the chat. Number two is and just so you know what I'm looking at, I take notes because I am kind of weird about coming on Facebook Live and just babbling. I can't do it. So I take notes because I want to teach, and I feel a lot better and more comfortable when I have something to say. Okay. Number two, mental prep. Okay, what does mental prep mean? So all of these are going to start with M because if you've been watching me, you know that I love alliteration. So all of these are going to start with M, also hopefully to help you remember. Mental prep is before you go into any conversation, going back in your mind about what is it that you want, what's your story, what has happened on your end, and also being clear about what is fact and what is fairy tale. Hey, come on. So what is fact and what is fairy tale? What does that mean, right? So for example, and we'll get into this, we'll get into how do we differentiate, but fact, right? You are like somebody is a late person, like is late today, right? Fiction, and fairy tale, that person is lazy, that person is disorganized. So you see how I added all this other stuff from the fact, the thing that happened. And so what people respond to and what you need to make sure that you're doing whenever you go into any situation is making sure that you are coming in with facts and not the fairy tale around it, because it completely makes people dismiss or make people just like say, no, we're not even gonna, makes them tune out basically. So you want to be able to move into your conversations, the difficult ones, with that mind. What do you want? What is your story? And what are the facts, not the fairy tales? Okay, that's number two. Number three is me. Okay, so you can only say what you know. So this is, I think if people have been at certain meetings now, they talk about I statements, right? And so the idea behind I statements is that I notice that this happens, rather than you always act the fool. Okay. I know. So how can we reframe that? I notice that you act the fool. That's not a great reframe. But I notice that, when I bring this topic up, there's a lot, it feels like there's a lot of animosity, or there's a lot of blah, blah, blah. So what you, right, and making sure that you're not attributing to somebody, you always do this, you always, so it's I. So starting with I is really going to help you through that difficult conversation that might need to be had when somebody's acting like a racist jerk, okay, right now, or somebody is being ignorant, right? These are all things that are going to happen more often because people are trying to have these conversations, but they haven't done the work of like really understanding anti-racism and how to act, especially in healthcare institutions. Number 4, myths. Okay, so when we come into any conversation, it is easy to fall in one of 3 myths, right? The myths that we can carry potentially are victim, it's not me, I am an angel, I don't know why this is happening to me, it's not me, I didn't do anything. Number 2 is it's always you, the villain, okay, the story, the myth. And then number 3 is in vain. Nothing's ever going to change, everything is hopeless. And all of these are kind of generalities, but all of them potentially, once again, tune out, make the conversation go left, really don't allow for you to be productive in whatever it is you're trying to, what the end goal is. And the reason why is because the end goal for some of us may be that we need to be taken more seriously, we need to be respected, we need to stop being dismissed, we need to stop being devalued, disrespected, neglected. You add in whatever, whichever one it is, and it's enough. Right? It's enough. You always like take it in and you're like, okay, well, that's how you want to act. But it's time to have these conversations. Because why is it in time? Because all of that tension, resentment, and hurt is coming onto us, and we don't have the capacity to take all of that. And so the first 4 that I talked about, once again, is meditate, mental prep, me, so I statements, and the myths, avoiding the myths. Number 5. Okay, I couldn't make this into a complete M, so sorry. Not motive. Okay, stay with me. All right, what does not motive mean? So it means a lot of times that we're going back to the fact versus fairy tale thing, okay? A lot of times when we are in conversations, we already have attributed a motive for a behavior that we saw. We can't know people's thoughts or their feelings, which are usually what steers them towards a certain behavior. We only see the behavior. But then we, in our sheer wisdom, attribute certain thoughts or certain feelings or certain motives for that behavior. And so what we need to do is describe the behaviors that we see, not the thoughts or beliefs or motives that we believe are attributing to that behavior. So something that may come up for us is when people are either like just not disrespectful to us, right? Or are not like giving us space to speak or ignoring or whatever it is. We could attribute that there's a whole story behind why that happens. However, then we start to make this story that is not true yet, right? We have to unpack that. It might be that person is just a horrible person and has like, and is, just that's who they are, or it might be something else. And so our idea of when we go into the conversation is to say, what is it that I have observed behavior-wise, and really now allowing that other person to now bring up what are the reasons for that, right? And being able to put that into their purview, and that allows for conversation to happen. You're showing the facts, you need more facts about why that's happening and how it's going to stop. Okay? Number 5, manage, not master. What does that mean? Omalara. This is one of my favorite shirts. Create every day. Manage, not master. Manage, not master means we need to move more into being leaders and not the authority. Okay, so what does that mean? That means that if we're going to navigate, especially I think this is more when you have either subordinates or, if you have subordinates or you have people that you want to kind of follow you into the fold, right? A lot of times it's very easy for us to take the authority figure rule, and in the authority rule, we tell people what to do. We order people what to do, and we dictate what to do. And that doesn't allow for us to have a real conversation about why is it that you don't want to follow me. So I found this mostly when I, as a Black woman, am in a leadership role and I get questioned all the time. I get sometimes talked back to. I get like a lot of cynicism. And so really navigating, why is it that this is a difficult task for you? So what I've noticed is that what I want to do, and all of this is really about maintaining my stress level, pushing that down so I'm not having a lot of conflict, but I'm able to act in my integrity and not shirk conflict because I'm just going to act this way, but actually stop conflict by having some like real specific things that I do when I'm in conversation. So one of the things I say is influence is a much better way of having people follow you. Okay. So how do I do that? I ask people rather than tell people. So I ask people, this is what I believe to be the way that we should move forward. Do you have any other solutions for this? So I'm asking. Dialogue, right? That is, rather than saying, this is what you're going to do. Okay. Which is, for certain populations like my kids, that's how it's going to be. But for other people who may be adults, who have to be in my team, dialogue is really important rather than ordering, and then understand. So instead of dictate. So I want to understand if this makes sense to you, blah, 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 that kind of thing. So these are certain things or certain prompts you want to have in your conversations. All right. So we got 4 more, and then I'll just go through the list for all of you latecomers, and that'll be it. I try to keep these short. I know we have to eat. We have kids. We want to go to sleep. Got it. So number 7, mystery. All right. So my mommy always said, right, you have one mouth and you have 2 ears, right? And we all know what's after that. One mouth to speak so that you do twice as much listening as you do the talking, right? And it's really important that a lot of times the reason conflicts happen is because you've already created a story, and you haven't listened in the way that you need to really almost master the conversation, right? Okay, what's this person telling me that I can potentially now like leap on and say, oh, okay, actually this is what's going on. Hi, Keisha. What is it? And so basically what you can do is you want to be as curious as possible whenever you're going into a difficult conversation. A lot of times we go in with the agenda, right? And we'll talk about this in interests versus positions. That's next week. That's in number 11 to 20. But the idea that a lot of times we're like, this is my stake in the sand. This is my position, and this is my position. Instead of finding out what are the interests that are shared, because interests are usually shared. Like there are some things that you want, some things I want, but there's a underlying interest that we have. So that's the idea of being curious, trying to listen for those things that actually are places where there might be a moment of a hint, a glimmer of like collaboration and something to actually hang on to. Number 8, mind reading. Mind reading, everyone. So do not expect others. This is what I have to do with my husband. Do not expect others to be mind readers, okay? I am very clear, all right? And that's about being courageous. Being courageous is not about, being the superhero or being brave. Being courageous is about being authentic. Like, how right now can you be the most authentic? What's the most authentic step rather than the most logical step? And that's really important. That's where the courage steps in, and that's where you start to grow. So what I do is I'm very clear about, this is what I value. This is what I believe. Making sure those terms are set. Are you in agreement that, we want to get a solution? Okay. It's like these verbal milestones. Are you in agreement that now we should move the conversation towards what our goals are? verbal milestones so that every time you're in that conversation, you're moving it along and you're making sure that there's agreement about where it's going to next. Do you believe that there's anything else that we should talk about? And so being able to be clear with that. I think my storage is low, so I'm going to go really fast with the next one. What mine is, what did I do? So a lot of times before I go into anything, I think about, now, honestly, right? Nothing's ever my fault, honestly. But I do go into kind of what is it that I've done? What is it that has been my fault? What is it that I need to take account of so that I'm aware and put those on the table? And the idea of putting those on the table really allows for someone else to then put their guard down and also put those things on the table as well, if that makes sense. And the last one, I think, is the most powerful one, actually. That's why I kept it for last, is more. So there's something called TED questions that I learned in my leadership coaching. And TED questions are tell me, explain to me, describe, can you describe this more? And what that is that's helpful when I found it most helpful for ignorance. So when there's ignorant statements, tell me, what are you referring to with that? Oh, could you explain more with that? And so really it now allows for you to be extremely, you know, you're not doing anything. You're not actually being kind of antagonistic. You're being, look, I want you to tell me what that means. I want you to explain to me what that means. I want you to describe to me, so that now that person really has to navigate that conversation, and now you've thrown it to them to say what their piece is. Because a lot of times we get really stressed by foolishness that we hear, and I'm trying to bring down our blood pressures, especially in this time, and try to make sure that we're able to negotiate conversations in a really powerful way. So I'm just going to go through the top 10. Those of you who stay with me, awesome. I'm going to go through the top 10, and then you can always do the replay. Okay, so top 10 ways that we can master difficult conversations, be our authentic selves, and not, shirk away from being authentic and being who we are in any space. Okay, that's the goal. So number 1 is, before you go into conversation, meditate. Oh, yay, Tanya says this was right on time. Awesome. Okay. Well, number 1 is, hi, John, meditate. Make sure you're breathing before any difficult conversation, belly breathing. A lot of times we get into our, tense breathing. So make sure of that. Number 2 is mental prep. What do I want? Sorry, almost done. What is my story? What are the facts versus the fiction? Okay. Number 3 is me. Start with I statements. Not you always do this, but I notice, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Number 4, myths. Make sure you're not using any of the things like I'm the victim. It's not me. You're the villain. It's always you. Number 3, in vain. It's never going to change. Those are the things we want to avoid. Number 5, no motive, not motive, describe the behavior. Okay. So not person is lazy, disorganized, this, and that person was late. Okay. So now you want to find out why they were late, why they did this, the behavior, not attributing all these other things about their whole background and who they are as a person. Number 6, manage, don't master. So what you're going to do is people do better with influence rather than authority. So making sure for difficult conversations with subordinates, you're asking, you're having dialogue, you're understanding rather than telling, ordering, dictating. Check yourself. See, are you doing any of those 3? Hi, Priscilla. Number 7, mystery. Be as curious as you can. Active listening. Okay. Number 9, oh God, I can't count. Sorry. Number 8, mind reading. Don't expect others to be mind readers. This is what I value. Be very clear. Put those verbal milestones in the conversation. This is where I think we should go next. This is the next thing that we're doing. Do you agree? This is the next thing that we're doing. Be able to anticipate where the conversation is going and put those milestones. Number 9, mine. Take ownership of whatever you've done before you even go into that conversation, if you can. Sometimes they're impromptu, but try to look at what is it that I did, if anything. If not, like me, I'm perfect. But but try to take it to ownership of what you did. And my last and my favorite is TED. Okay, more. Ask for more. So more, it refers to tell me more, explain to me more, describe to me. That now puts the onus on the other person if they're doing something that really is just like unclear why someone who's a human being would do that, giving them the opportunity to tell you, explain, describe. So I use it mostly for ignorant statements or ignorant actions, and then I want people to explain that to me. And then we have a conversation about it. Okay, so that's it, everyone. My storage is dangerously low, so I'm gonna have to say bye. But let me know if this was helpful, if this was interesting, if this was, I don't know, if this was horrible, you can let me know that too. And I will see you next Tuesday for Teaching Tuesdays. But I'm really happy to have you all here. Yes, this was good, Tiffany. Yay, thank goodness. Okay. It's always nervous. You don't know what you put out, whether or not it makes sense to other people. So, and I appreciate feedback. It's okay if it wasn't good. Just let me know. I can do better. I'm always here to do better. All right. And then other than that, let me know if you guys need any further support, like personal development wise. Let me know. Discovery call. I always have time for people, and shoot me, DMs. DMs are cool too. And we can talk offline as well. Okay, have a good night, everyone. I'm going to go have dinner. Bye.